In the heart of the endless great steppe, where magic pulses through the earth like hidden rivers of light, a young herder named Elaran stumbles upon a forbidden burial mound. What he uncovers isn't just ancient gold, it's a suit of enchanted armor that awakens with a radiant glow, bonding to his very soul and granting him unimaginable power. This golden light transforms him into a guardian of legends, destined to unite warring nomadic tribes against shadowy empires threatening to devour their enchanted lands. But as Elaran rises, so do the storms of war. Ferocious shadow wolves ravage the plains, ice wraiths freeze villages in eternal winter, and invading hordes from the Iron Dominion unleash mechanical horrors fueled by stolen magic. With his blades summoning bursts of purifying energy and his foresight predicting deadly ambushes, Elaran forges alliances in sacred stone circles, heals corrupted mana veins, and leads charges across rivers that mirror the stars. Yet victory comes at a cost. Betrayals from within fracture the fragile unity, and overwhelming forces from the Crimson Empire, dragon lords commanding fire-breathing beasts, plunge Kazharia into centuries of oppression. Villages burn, shamans are silenced, and the golden armor is locked away in darkness. Generations endure under the yoke, their magic fading like whispers in the wind. Enter Lyra, Elaran's descendant, who reclaims the relic in a daring raid, reigniting its power to spark a revolution. Guerrilla battles in whispering forests, earthquakes shattering fortresses, and illusions turning shadows against their masters. Watch as she leads the nomads to shatter their chains, restoring the steppe's vibrant essence in a blaze of golden triumph. This is no ordinary tale, it's an epic saga of awakening, unity, oppression, liberation, and eternal vigilance. Dive into the world of Kazharia, where ancient Scythian-inspired warriors wield elemental magic against tyranny. Will the golden light endure forever? Stick around for the story that will transport you to a realm of boundless wonder and heroic destiny. In the endless expanses of the great steppe, where the horizon blended seamlessly with the sky in a tapestry of golden grasses and azure heavens, the land of Kazharia lay under the watchful gaze of ancient spirits. This was a realm where magic flowed like rivers through the earth, nourishing the soil with enchantments that made flowers bloom in eternal spring and winds carry prophecies from distant mountains. The people of Kazharia, nomadic tribes who roamed with their herds of ethereal horses, creatures with manes that shimmered like starlight, lived in harmony with the land's arcane energies. They built no permanent cities, for their homes were the vast plains, and their wealth was measured in the strength of their bonds and the wisdom passed down through generations. Among these tribes lived a young herder named Elaran, a man of unassuming stature but with eyes that held the depth of forgotten oceans. Elaran spent his days tending to the luminous flocks, sheep whose wool glowed faintly under the moon, providing threads for spells of protection. The tribes had long been divided, each clan claiming dominion over sacred groves where magic crystals emerged from the ground like frozen lightning. Rivalries simmered like storms on the horizon, fueled by old grudges over water sources infused with healing properties and territories rich in mana veins that pulsed with raw power. One fateful dawn, as the sun crested the eastern ridges, casting long shadows across the steppe, Elaran ventured farther than usual in pursuit of a wayward luminous sheep. The creature had wandered into a forbidden valley, a place whispered about in elders' tales as the cradle of ancients, where the bones of forgotten heroes lay buried beneath mounds of earth and stone. The air there grew thick with an otherworldly hum, as if the ground itself breathed with latent sorcery. Undeterred by the warnings etched in his memory, Elaran pressed on, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. As he crested a gentle hill, he beheld a massive tumulus, a burial mound overgrown with vines that pulsed with faint green light. The sheep stood at its base, grazing peacefully as if drawn by an invisible force. Elaran approached cautiously, his hand gripping a staff carved from elderwood, which could channel minor spells of warding. A sudden gust of wind revealed a fissure in the mound's side, exposing a chamber within. Compelled by an inexplicable pull, he entered, the darkness swallowing him whole until his staff ignited with a soft glow, illuminating walls adorned with runes that depicted epic battles between warriors and shadow beasts. At the chamber's center lay a sarcophagus of pure crystal, its surface etched with symbols that danced like living flames. With trembling hands, Elaran lifted the lid, revealing the remains of a figure clad in armor of gleaming gold. The suit was intricate, forged from metal that seemed to absorb and reflect the light in hypnotic patterns, adorned with motifs of eagles, horses, and swirling vortices representing the elements. As he gazed upon it, a surge of energy coursed through the air, and the armor began to hum, its golden surface awakening with an inner radiance. In that moment, visions flooded Elaran's mind, flashes of ancient wars where Scythian-like nomads, ancestors of the Khazarians, wielded magic against invading hordes from the shadowed north. He saw a legendary warrior, the first Golden Guardian, who had donned this armor to unite the tribes against a great darkness, a sorcerous blight that threatened to consume the steppe. The armor was no mere relic, it was a vessel of the land's essence, granting its wearer enhanced strength, foresight, and the ability to commune with the spirits of wind and earth. Overwhelmed yet empowered, Elaran donned the armor. It molded to his form as if alive, infusing him with vitality that made his veins glow with golden light. He emerged from the mound transformed, the sheep following him like a loyal companion. Word of his discovery spread like wildfire across the steppe, carried by messenger birds enchanted to relay images in their feathers. Tribes that had long feuded gathered in awe, sensing the shift in the world's balance. Elaran, now the embodiment of the golden light, rode forth on a steed that manifested from the armor's magic, its hooves leaving trails of sparkling dust. The first trials came swiftly. Shadow wolves, creatures born from corrupted mana, plagued the eastern clans, devouring herds and siphoning the land's magic. Elaran confronted them in a valley of whispering reeds, his golden blade, summoned from the armor's essence, cleaving through their ethereal forms. The battle was fierce, the wolves' howls echoing like thunder, but the armor's power amplified his strikes, turning each blow into bursts of radiant energy that purified the corruption. Victorious, he restored the mana veins, causing flowers to bloom anew and rivers to flow with renewed clarity. As seasons turned, Elaran journeyed across Kazharia, healing rifts between tribes. In the southern dunes, where sand elementals roamed unchecked, he quelled their rage by channeling the armor's foresight to predict their movements, burying them under avalanches of enchanted earth. In the northern tundras, he faced ice wraiths that froze entire villages in eternal winter, melting their grip with waves of golden fire drawn from the sun's memory stored within the relic. The tribes, inspired by his deeds, began to forge alliances. Shamans wove spells of unity, binding their magics in grand rituals under starlit skies. Elaran became a symbol of hope, his golden silhouette a beacon against the encroaching darkness. Yet, whispers of greater threats loomed, rumors of a distant empire, ruled by a dark sorcerer, eyeing the steppe's riches. The awakening of the golden light marked the dawn of an era, where one man's discovery ignited the flame of destiny for an entire people. With the golden armor firmly bonded to his spirit, Elaran traversed the heart of Kazharia, where the steppes gave way to rolling hills dotted with ancient stone circles. These monoliths, remnants of primordial enchantments, served as gathering points for the tribes, places where magic amplified voices and visions. The land pulsed with renewed vigor, the grasses swaying in rhythmic patterns as if celebrating the return of their guardian. Elaran's presence drew clans from all corners, their tents forming vast encampments that shimmered with protective wards. The challenges escalated as the Dark Empire from the west, known as the Iron Dominion, cast its shadow over the borders. Ruled by a faceless overlord who wielded forbidden necromancy, the Dominion sought to enslave the steppe's magic, draining mana veins to fuel their mechanical horrors. Golems of rusted metal animated by stolen souls. Scouts from the tribes reported sightings of these abominations, their gears grinding like the teeth of fate. Elaran rallied the tribes in a grand council at the Circle of Winds, a site where gales carried echoes of ancestral wisdom. Though no words were exchanged in the traditional sense, the shamans linked minds through telepathic bonds, sharing images of unity and strategy. Elaran, at the center, projected visions from the armor's memory, past glories of nomad warriors riding against similar foes, their arrows tipped with light essence piercing the darkness. The first clash occurred at the River of Stars, a waterway that reflected the night sky even in daylight, its waters infused with celestial magic. The Dominion's forces advanced, their golems wading through the shallows, corrupting the river with oily residue. Elaran led a charge of mounted archers, his golden form gleaming like a second sun. The armor enhanced his allies, granting them auras of speed and precision. Arrows flew in arcs of brilliant energy, shattering the golems' cores and releasing trapped spirits in bursts of ethereal light. Victories mounted, but so did losses. In the Battle of Whispering Caves, where underground labyrinths hid caches of crystal orbs, Elaran faced a legion of shadow assassins, beings twisted by the Overlord's spells into intangible wraiths. The armor's foresight allowed him to anticipate their strikes, his blade weaving patterns that solidified the shadows into vulnerable forms. He emerged scarred but resolute, the caves purified and their orbs used to forge new weapons, spears that could phase through armor and shields that repelled dark magic. As the war intensified, Elaran delved deeper into the armor's secrets. In moments of solitude, he meditated atop sacred hills, communing with the spirit of the original Golden Guardian. Visions revealed the Scythian-like origins, ancient nomads who had harnessed the land's magic to craft the armor from fallen stars and dragon scales, forging it in volcanoes now dormant. This knowledge empowered him to teach the tribes advanced enchantments, transforming their herds into battle mounts with wings of wind and their tents into mobile fortresses shielded by illusion spells. Unity blossomed like wildflowers after rain. Clans that once warred over grazing lands now shared resources, their shamans combining rituals to create barriers of thorny vines that ensnared invaders. Elaran orchestrated ambushes in the foggy valleys, where mists concealed traps of sinking earth and illusory decoys. The Dominion's advances halted, their forces retreating to lick wounds inflicted by the Steppe's unyielding magic. Yet, internal strife tested the alliance. A rogue clan, tempted by the Overlord's promises of power, betrayed secrets of the Manavanes. Elaran confronted them in the Desert of Mirrors, a wasteland where reflections came alive as deceptive phantoms. Using the armor's truth-seeing ability, he exposed the traitors' corruption, purifying their leaders with beams of golden light that restored their loyalty. The incident strengthened the bonds, teaching the tribes the value of vigilance and forgiveness. By the end of this era, Kazharia stood as a forged nation, its people bound by shared trials. Elaran, weary but unbreakable, gazed upon the horizon, knowing greater empires loomed. The forging of unity had transformed scattered tribes into a formidable force, ready to face the tides of history. As Kazharia's strength grew, so did the envy of surrounding realms. The Iron Dominion, though repelled, allied with the Crimson Empire from the east, a vast power ruled by dragonlords who commanded fleets of fire-breathing beasts. Together, they launched a cataclysmic invasion, their armies blotting the sky with smoke and the ground with marching legions. The steppe, once free and boundless, became a battlefield scarred by scorched earth and shattered crystals. Elaran, now a seasoned guardian, led the defense from the Fortress of Echoes, a natural citadel of towering rocks that amplified magical calls. The armor's light dimmed under the strain of constant battle, its golden hue marred by dents from dragon claws. The invaders employed siege engines powered by enslaved elementals, hurling boulders infused with explosive curses that cracked the land like thunder. The fall of the southern plains marked the turning point into darkness. Waves of crimson warriors, mounted on scaled reptiles, overwhelmed the tribe's lines. Elaran fought valiantly, his blades summoning storms of golden lightning that felled dozens, but the numbers were overwhelming. Captured shamans were forced to reveal Manavane locations, allowing the empires to siphon the land's essence, weakening the magic that sustained Kazharia. Occupation descended like a perpetual eclipse. The nomads were herded into controlled enclaves, their herds confiscated and their rituals suppressed. The golden armor was seized, locked in a vault of anti-magic iron, leaving Elaran stripped of his power and imprisoned in chains that drained his vitality. The spirits of the steppe waned, winds falling silent and rivers running dry. Decades blurred into centuries under the yoke. The people adapted in secrecy, preserving fragments of magic in hidden talismans and oral traditions passed in whispers. Descendants of Elaran, carrying his bloodline's latent spark, rose as quiet resistors. One such heir, a woman named Lyra, discovered a shard of the armor buried in an old mound. It granted her minor visions, guiding underground networks that sabotaged the oppressors' minds and freed enslaved workers. The empires imposed their will, building monolithic cities over sacred sites, where towers of obsidian pierced the sky to harvest atmospheric magic. Kazharians toiled in these structures, their labor fueling the conquerors' endless wars. Rebellions flickered like dying embers, ambushes on supply caravans, poisonings of dragon feed, but were crushed with brutal efficiency, leaving trails of sorrow across the plains. Lyra's journey deepened the resistance. Traveling disguised as a merchant, she rallied scattered remnants, forging alliances with exiled elves from forested borders who shared spells of concealment. In the caves of Forgotten Light, she unearthed ancient texts revealing the armor's true nature, a conduit to the world's core magic, indestructible but requiring a worthy bearer to fully awaken. A daring raid on the Crimson Citadel reclaimed the armor. Lyra infiltrated under cover of illusion, navigating labyrinths guarded by flame golems. Touching the relic reignited its glow, flooding her with Elaran's memories. She escaped amid chaos, the armor's power shattering walls and summoning a tempest that veiled her flight. The shadows deepened before dawn, with purges that decimated villages suspected of harboring magic. Lyra endured losses, her resolve hardened like forged steel. The oppression forged a collective yearning for freedom, planting seeds of revolution in every oppressed heart. Part 4. From the ashes of subjugation, the spark of rebellion ignited into a blazing inferno. Lyra, clad in the restored golden armor, emerged as the new guardian, her form radiating a light that pierced the gloom of occupation. The steppe responded, mana veins pulsing anew as if sensing the return of hope. Winds carried omens of change, and animals gathered in unusual numbers, aiding the resistors with their instincts. The liberation began in the whispering forests, borderlands where allied elves provided sanctuaries woven from living trees. Lyra trained warriors in guerrilla tactics, infusing their weapons with golden essence to counter the Empire's dark sorcery. Skirmishes escalated, night raids on outposts, where shadows were turned against their masters, and sabotages of dragon roosts that sent beasts fleeing in confusion. A pivotal alliance formed with dwarf clans from the mountains, masters of earth magic who forged barriers against invading armies. United forces struck at the heart of the Iron Dominion's stronghold, a fortress of spiked towers. Lyra led the assault, the armor summoning earthquakes that toppled walls, while dwarf hammers shattered golems in showers of sparks. Victories accumulated, liberating enclaves one by one. In the Battle of Shattered Skies, Dragonlords unleashed their aerial might, but Lyra channeled the armor's foresight to predict dives, countering with volleys of enchanted arrows that pierced scales. Fallen dragons crashed like meteors, their fires extinguished by summoned rains. The Crimson Empire retaliated with a grand offensive, summoning a colossal elemental of fire and iron. The confrontation raged across the central steppe, the ground quaking under its steps. Lyra confronted it directly, the golden armor amplifying her to giant proportions in illusion, matching its size. Strikes exchanged in cataclysmic force, until she pierced its core with a beam of pure light, dispersing it into harmless embers. As territories were reclaimed, the people rebuilt. Sacred groves were restored, crystals replanted to heal the land. Lyra's leadership fostered a council of representatives from all clans, ensuring equitable distribution of magic and resources. The empires, weakened and divided, sued for peace, their rulers fleeing into exile. The dawn of liberation brought renewal. Rivers flowed with crystal clarity, herds multiplied, and the sky cleared of oppressive clouds. Kazharia stood sovereign, its people forever changed by the trials, ready to shape their destiny. In the wake of freedom, Kazharia blossomed into a beacon of harmony and innovation. Lyra, the Golden Guardian, guided the nation toward a future where magic and wisdom intertwined. Cities rose from the steppes, not as impositions but as organic extensions of the land, structures of living stone and vine that adapted to the nomad's ways, blending tradition with progress. The armor's legacy evolved, no longer a tool of war but a symbol of peace. Lyra established academies where young mages studied ancient lore, developing spells for agriculture that made crops yield bountifully and healed scars of past battles. Trade flourished with neighboring realms, exchanging enchanted artifacts for knowledge, fostering a multipolar world where no single power dominated. Challenges persisted, remnants of dark magic lingered in remote corners, manifesting as twisted beasts. Lyra ventured into these wilds, purifying them with gentle rituals that integrated rather than destroyed, turning foes into guardians of the borders. The people honored their history through festivals under the stars, where illusions recreated epic tales, inspiring generations. Lyra's heirs inherited shards of the armor's power, ensuring the golden light endured. Kazharia became a land of endless possibility, its horizon symbolizing boundless potential. As ages passed, the steppe whispered of eternal vigilance, the golden guardian's spirit watching over a united, prosperous realm. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic